There is a place of Halloween. Come one, come all, bring self and scream. To Pumpkin Patch and Witch's Glen, graveyard, asylum, and spider's den. It's harvest season on the farm. We'll try our best to keep from harm. But crows are circling all forlorn, and something's hiding in the corn. You may think that you are fine, but tell that to a doctor of the mind, who there alongside lightning bolts administers 20,000 volts. If you go down to the woods today, you better prepare your soul, 'cause down in the caves the spiders play, and witches demand a toll. Churchyard is a sacred space, the tombs and graves are all in place. The bats in the belfry are there without cause, and the next funeral may well be yours. The food's all ready, so start the roaster, and don't trust everything you see on the poster. If you make it out, then you can boast, and make some space, your wake needs a host. So come along and don't mind the ghost, it's Pibbles playing Planet Coaster.
Yes, hello, my name is Mr. Pibbles, but you can call me Peter, and welcome to the final episode of our Halloween Park series here in Planet Coaster 2, and for the first time in a long time, we are back out at the entrance, because today we don't have anything sort of major to do. Instead, today, we are having a wander around the park, we're riding some of the rides, and we're sort of tying this all together, if you will, kind of bringing everything that we've done together into one video and having a look at it. And going back to just before the first episode, we started off here with a fully complete entrance to our park with a couple of different references around here which now make a lot more sense, like our lovely scarecrow up there, our witch up there, the asylum gates there, the lovely spider down there, and this grave over here, and this all now makes a lot of sense. And this is where we started off, and well, let's just enter and have a bit of a walk through. But if you have been here for all these episodes, thank you for kind of coming along, giving it all a look. And now we get to have a look at it all. So we start off here in our Main Street, Creep Street. And we've got our services down here. Obviously we created this all the way back in episodes 1 and 2. And this was quite a fun little thing to get together with everything around here. It's very distinct architectural style. And it was fun to kind of come in and do something slightly different. And we are going to investigate all of that later. But we're going to start off with Pumpkin Patch Farm, which was the very first area of the park we made. And obviously it's over here with all of this corner over here. And our lovely burning windmill. It's almost as if I timed that. That was by complete accident. But yes, obviously each area of this park is meant to invoke a different type of sort of idea of different types of horror movies. And the one behind this is supposed to be sort of rural horror. So you think your things that take place on farms, such as Children of the Corn, also things like the Wicker Man movie, Midsummer, all of that. But yes, so sort of this is where we're going to be starting today. You know, you wouldn't usually think, oh, let's start off a visit to a theme park on a roller coaster. You might do, I don't know, but we are starting off today on Flock. This is our lovely sort of, it's not a junior invert, but it is a lovely inverted coaster. It's a 2-seater, and it is themed to this flock of crows. And we're just going to skip all the queues so we can get up here to the station. And with any luck, if I wait for a couple of moments, we are in. And I am very aware that this is the first time we are getting in and actually riding any of these rides. Now, with any luck, I will look at getting some POVs for these rides up within the next sort of couple of days potentially, but that is that's a question for later. And obviously this doesn't have any audio, so we are going to I'm going to be just through it talking to you, or I can shut up if you'd like, but I think we can save that for the POVs and showcase videos. But yeah, we are simply waiting for dispatch, and I believe we are going, which is quite exciting. Down into this first drop, obviously we have this this wheat field beneath us. It was a fun thing to kind of get in and build, and obviously from up here you do get some nice views of bits of the park, and we're in. Sort of down that first drop there, it's a little bit choppy, but then you'd expect sort of a simple two-seater inverted coaster to do this sort of choppy nature, and I don't think this is something that we saw. So this up here is our block section, and obviously I've built a little bit of a structure on it so that if you do get stuck at the block section, people can come and bail you out, and we are simply waiting for the station to load so we can get on and actually do this. But you can see off in the distance there our St. King Asylum back there, which is a brilliant part of the park. Its only downfall is you can see it from everywhere. But getting back on, we are heading down to the windmill, which that is a choppy corner again, but I don't think I'd have it any other way. Through the barn and up into our second and final lift hill, with a pop of the music in the background there. And again, this is the only downfall of this coaster, is that you are sat waiting for a lot of the time. Obviously I could find some sort of way to what's the phrase I'm looking for? Make this more efficient, but there we go. Obviously looking over there, we've got our lovely pool of water. The one thing you don't get in the dark is the fact that that water is supposed to be red, but there we go, that's neither here nor there. And diving into our lovely pit and over the queue. There we go. We've had our picture taken. We need to go visit that after. It's time for the only invert in the park, actually. That is the one kind of inverting element in this park. He says, no, it's the one outdoor inverting element in this park, because obviously we've got our suspended coaster elsewhere. But there we go. Now, let me just get rid of that. Obviously coming out here and walking down back into the thing. Let's have a look at our photo. We'll be up there. Oh, look at it. Okay, I didn't realise that you'd be blocked by the wings. That is slightly funny. I really do kind of like that. But moving on, of course, we've got such set pieces as our lovely tractor. And we don't need to look at the toilets, but again, you can just get another view of Flock from here, and I really like it as a coaster. I think it's really funny in what it does, and I think it is really nice. And obviously, again, you can see the burning windmill in the background, which is a homage to Dark Universe. Now, coming over here, we've got one of our only real sources of food, drink, and souvenirs in this park are these handmade crafts, fresh farm foods, and pumpkin spice latte at Pumpkin Patch. Now, we're not going to ride Pumpkin Patch, but we will come over here and we will give it a quick look. Let me just run through this queue quickly. Can I cut it? No, I can't. But you've got lovely things such as this traction engine in the queue. I thought it'd be slightly different to all the tractors that we've got. And coming up, obviously you can see it here. I don't think we've seen it done, but it is just a nice little Pumpkin Patch themed teacup ride, which I really like the design on some of these teacups and the way that they look. And it is slightly silly, but there we go. Now, we'll pretend that we've ridden that and we'll come off as we have our second on-ride POV that we're going to do for Scarecrow Fields. Obviously, we made this a little bit further into this series. This was the last ride we did in this area, and obviously coming through this queue line here, ducking under the low-hanging lights, you can see all those scarecrows out in the distance, out there. What's going to happen on the ride? Now we will just wait here for a cart to get into the station. There it is. Let's get on. So welcome to the Scarecrow Fields POV. And again, I've left a lot of these on-ride elements kind of a little bit more obscure to everyone, just so, you know, I can preserve some of the surprise throughout. Like that, it's a bit of a jump scare. Ooh. That is one of my favourite elements in this. I really wish I could have done it more justice than I did it there, but there we go. Again, that was the main reason that I made this ride, and there are other ways I wish I could have done it, but I'm glad it worked out the way that it did. Another little scare there, I forgot that one was coming. And the big one at the finale. So there we go. It is a simple, short ride, but I really like it. It's simple but effective is what I'd say. It does what it does kind of well. So getting off it there and hiding that menu, that is everything here in Pumpkin Patch Farm. And I will just see a moment if I can sort of go off path, as it were. No, I can't. That is mildly annoying because I was going to take you all the way over there and we could have seen that element closer up, but there we go. Let's run all the way back to the main area of the park. If there's one downside to this whole park, it is the fact that everything isn't really connected as well as it could be, but there we go. But yes, we will leave Pumpkin Patch Farm and move on. Again, talking about the little details here, the things that I really like are some of the some of the things that are around and about. Obviously, I like the windmill, but I also like the crows that are flying over the top. I think that was a really fun idea on my part. Now, moving back into Creep Street here, we can walk around what we built in episode 1. That being the lovely, again, as if on cue, Scaroplane. It's a lovely Charoplane ride in the purple and orange, as you can see there, and with all of the different decorations around it. I really like the look that sort of having these crows flying around on top of it does. But leaving that for a moment, we will come back again through here in a bit. But we have an asylum to go and look at. So welcome to the St. King Asylum, or Mental Hospital as it is up there. And this was the second area that we built, and this is one of my favourite areas because it is just so imposing. Kind of, you look over and it is massive. But we have 3 rides in this area. Our first one here, Convulsion. A lovely little ride where you spin around, you go up and down, and then, hopefully I've timed this right, as if by magic, you get sent into a tube. It's all fun stuff. Now, popping back up round the other side, obviously you can see some corn there. That's a little bit of an oversight on my part, but that's fine. It doesn't break the immersion. We have Electroshock, and again, we're not going to ride Electroshock, but it is, again, such an imposing ride. I believe the ride type is something along the lines of a zipper, but it is quite cool in the way that it is built up like this massive thing. And this is the main event here. This is our lovely Intamin Blitz in this park, Restraint. So obviously that is the I've set it up there with sort of a funny little name and a bit of context behind it as a bit of world building. Show some restraint, treatment here. So let's go in and let's get our restraint treatment. And again, that is something I really like. By making the path invisible, we can actually walk up the steps themselves. And this is another thing that I made that I really like. I like these posters. I like to kind of flex a little bit of here and there of what I can do. Are you having bad thoughts? The restraint can make them go away. Apologies for the jump in footage there. I had to go sort something, but here we are entering this building, and it is very bare bones inside these walls, but then it needs to be. As you come through here and get into the station, and there is our ride vehicle. So we'll sit down, and I'll make it a little bit louder, and I will leave you to the restraint. Well, as soon as people actually get on the ride, I will... Oh. Is that a sign that we're on? Are you going to let us go? Come on, dispatch. Dispatch us. Obviously, you can hear electroshock going in the background there. It's all quite fun. But I'm just waiting, because obviously I know we've got the audio on this ride, which yous won't have heard, but I will have heard, because obviously I've made this and I've wanted this to be a surprise. So here we go. And there we go, as we pop through the brake run, you can see the ride wearing its slightly Smiler influence on its sleeve. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Obviously, it is a very sort of... Okay, hang. And there we go, we have finally made it off the ride, and we come down out of the asylum down here, and we can see our lovely photos, which is fun. But that is everything for the asylum portion of the park. Obviously, you can see electroshock and convulsion in motion. But we're gonna make it out of this part of the park and just move on round. Sort of, we'll move past these lovely food and drink stalls here, and we will move down into the Witchy Woods. This is the forest portion of the park, and obviously you can see it here. It has a very sort of established aesthetic to it, which is quite fun. Now, coming down here, we're not going to ride it, but we have Broom Flight, our flying ride. I don't quite know what the ride type is in the real world, but it's in game it is a wild blue, and obviously you can see We themed up the queue here, and you can see it in motion there. And I will just take you out of real time for a moment, just to highlight how much I do really enjoy the look of the ride vehicles for this, with sort of the faux witches' hats, the faux brooms, and the faux cats on the front. I quite like that. I think it's cool. And obviously from here you can see it going, and you can see the arm on it, and you can see it being lit up as it goes around. And I really like how that arm looks on it, because it's all wood, and it looks quite nice. Now, coming all the way down here, we will enter the nest a little bit sooner. A little bit later. But first, we are going for a night on Witch Mountain. Now, just coming down here through the queue line, it is a popular one, up the other side and to the station as we wait for a boat to arrive. And yeah, this is our lovely water ride in this park. So we're gonna hop on this quickly and again give it a little ride and see what it's like. So obviously this was made very much with a view of being reminiscent of both Splash Mountain and Pirates of the Caribbean, so I do hope you enjoy. And I don't know why we're waiting in the station, but we exit out here into the trough, which is all fun stuff. But yes, you can see the lovely witch house there. And we enter into our lovely adjoined restaurant, which we will take a proper look at later. But first, let's head into Witch's Brew. And you can see all of these potions and bits and pieces out along the side with our witch in there making some trouble up, along with the cauldrons and stuff through there. Now coming up this this lift hill through all of these flowers bloomed along the side of the cave and out into a little bit of an outdoorsy segment with this nice fence, these trees, and the firefly jars. It's all quite lovely, fun stuff. Surely this is quite a nice ride. This is all tame, all very fairy tale stuff. So again, one can't complain too much. And again, now we pop out, and I'm just gonna come out and show you around. Pay no attention to that light up there. That's not supposed to be there, but obviously this gives you some views around the area as we drop into, well, our first drop. You can see these witches and the lovely, slightly scary trees and the forest that we've built up around here. I really like this portion. The atmosphere that it has really is quite cool, especially for sort of this indoor show scene. Now coming up this lift hill with these slightly inconsistent and varied candles, I like it. It's a little bit silly, but that means we're no longer outside. So where are we now? Well, we'll answer that question as soon as we get to the top. As we're finally in a witch's coven. There's all the pots, all of the magic circles and sigils. And witches doing spells and all sorts. So surely this can't end well, right? And up there's the witch casting her magic onto us. As we finally get a lovely view over the area, head chopper element, and we splash into the caves at the end. We're a little underwater now, which is quite fun. But of course, where would this be without a few more crystals around? It is all quite lovely. It's a lovely way to finish, and I think as a ride, this sort of sits as a more tame and family-friendly version of the spooky witch trope than possibly any of the other rides in this park, which is quite fun as it sort of acts as a breath of fresh air. I say that. We exit out now, I get rid of the UI, and we're back along the boardwalk. You can see the witch's house up there, and you can see, obviously, there's the lovely drop, and there's the restaurant. And coming round here, actually into Witch's Brew itself, you can see what it actually looks like in here, and it is quite a nice place, and you can get right up to sort of the ends of these bits to look out at the ride as it goes past. But we will run away from the swamp as we have another area of this section to look at. And that is starting with Enter the Nest. Which, to be fair, we'll look at before we ride, because you can see it there popping over the top of the entrance to Webbed. And obviously there's Webbed, our lovely Enterprise ride, and you can see down there, you can see Enter the Nest, the lovely coaster down there, spinning coaster flying around, doing all of its bits down there. And I really love the fact that you can stand up here on the path and look over at it. It is quite cool. And yeah, without delay, if you are arachnophobic, I would say to skip a little bit forward into this video. And yeah. But before that, we are gonna just come down here into the ride building, which is very dark, very overgrown, all of that. And it is quite gloomy in here as we get to the ride. Now, we are on, which is good. And we're just waiting for the all clear, and there we go. Enjoy! And there we go. That was Enter the Nest. I'm a bit dizzy now. I don't know if you're the same. But as I say, it sits somewhere between the level of being a regular spinning coaster and a Mac Extreme spinner, which is quite fun. And obviously it is very fun. Has some good ratings. And you get some really fun spinning elements throughout. But that leads us then on to the last area of the park, and really the one flat ride we're gonna ride. But we'll get onto that in a bit, because first we're gonna... Oh, I missed the path. We're gonna come around here, because obviously welcome to the graveyard, where we have our first flat ride in this area that we're gonna look at, which is Mausoleum. And I know I was saying in the last episode that I'd done some bits and pieces to the queue line to make it look a little bit more interesting. You've sort of got this whalebone, this whale ribcage structure in the middle that sort of adds to the whole feel of sort of that ride, which is quite fun. Now, popping over to the other side, we will ride Crypt Walker a little bit later as our final ride in the park, but first we will go ride Bats in the Belfry, which does prove to be quite popular. And we will come inside our lovely church building. You can see there, it's all lit up quite nicely. There's all the beams over the top and the pews and the lectern. And then we've got our nice organ here, which is a wonderful build. It is one of my favourite things in this park. And then we pop down here to the ride itself as we wait for it to get ready for us. So I'm just going to speed this up a little, speed up the process. You can possibly hear the bells going in the background. But there we go. I'm just going to pause it quickly because it'll give us a chance to get a proper look at the ride vehicle itself with obviously all these bells around the top, which is quite fun. But let's wait for some people to get off so we can get on. And we're going to ride it in this direction because the one reason, well, there are two reasons we're riding this. One, it does have a little bit of a show element throughout. It's minor, it's really not a show element, but there we go. And the other reason is it gives you some really nice views of the park, which I feel like we've earned after, you know, all of this time in the park. So, without further ado, let's visit the bats in the Belfry. Obviously you can hear the bats there, and there's the wonderful view of the park. It is really, really nice. And yes, I just really like seeing it from above because from down on the ground it seems so big, from building it seems so small. But it does have its charms. And if I come in here quickly, ooh, is the ride over? Well, you can hear the bats there in the background. That means no, it's not over yet. Launch coming up. You can see those slightly spooky eyes out there. And we're just getting really nice views. That's the thing I like about this ride. It just does give you the best views of the park. Even if the rest is just the inside of this church. But I really like it. It is really nice to sort of look over and see everything that we've done in this series. And then getting back down to the bottom. This is longer than I thought it was. That shows how little I know about my own park. But yes, coming back down. There we go. We'll get off. And suddenly we are the other side of the church, but obviously you can come out here and we can see all of the lovely theming we've done with these tombstones and sort of everything around that. So, that brings us to the last POV of this park, and I will be talking over it because, you know, it's a long one, but it's Crypt Walker, our Omnimover style dark ride. And yeah, you can see what I've done here with the ride sign and with a few bits and pieces throughout. Walking obviously past this nice funeral scene that I made and into the crypt itself. So walking down into the darkness of this shadowy crypt. And we are just going to walk up and get on. So, yes, you can possibly hear the soundtrack playing behind me. But yeah, so obviously this was the last ride that we made in this park, and I think it begs the question of where we go next, because obviously this is going to bring a return of our challenge park, and we will get right back into that once this series is over. I might take a few days or whatever to recover, and then we'll be right back with the challenge park. But where do we go then? Well, I had a couple of ideas, since, you know, I could do something with a much bigger budget, I could do some other bits and pieces, and I could do a studio park. Now, I know that's a bit of a trend at the moment that we are seeing as those skeletons whip past there. But yes, I've had a bit of a think, and I do think I do want to get in and try something like a studios style park, because there is just something fun about creating a park based on IPs that you yourself are really into, and I think that could be a really fun way to sort of get in and give it a bit of a try. But that aside, we are finally seeing stuff that we haven't seen yet in this ride with this spooky spinning tunnel, which again is a staple, and this sort of Valley of Lost Souls element that I really, really like. I really like the way that the skeletons are just sat in there spinning around. But yeah, it is... the question that needs to be asked is, if you've all enjoyed this series, would you enjoy more sort of big budget parks with sort of these very... I'm not going to say highly produced episodes, but sort of with this very sort of get in, have a certain number of episodes to do sort of an area of a park, and I'm not showing you everything I'm doing? Or would you prefer things more in the style of what we do in the challenge park, of where I show everything and sort of in it will get a lot less done in an episode? But it's up to yous, really. So but I suppose I really should just thank you all for your support throughout the series. It has been a really fun one to get in and do, and it has just been a really nice creative exercise to try something that I haven't tried before. There is nothing like doing something new in Planet Coaster to really get that brain working in the way that it needs to, and I think this really was the thing that made me go, yes, I can do this properly with this sort of higher budget. And unfortunately we are coming up towards the end of the ride, which means we are coming up towards the end of this video. We're not quite there yet because we've got one or two things to look at first, but yeah, it is this. We're almost at the end of our last ride as we whip past these lovely jump scare skeletons, which I really, really like them. They're such a fun idea that I had that I just had to put them in, and yeah, there we go. As we now hop off our Omnimover vehicle and get rid of the HUD again, I've done a lot of the talking that I need to about, you know, where we go next. And if you have any ideas, please feel free to stick them in the comments. I really like any and all times we have talked down there. It has been really nice just to get in and talk to my community and kind of actually see what you like, see what you don't like, and get all of this done. And I suppose the last thing we've got to do is exit through the gift shop. So what do I want to get from my time here? I think I'm going to pick up a green potion bottle. We'll take a ukulele, because why not? I want a Viking cap that has nothing to do with this park, and why not? We'll take a shirt as well. But yeah, if you have enjoyed this series, then please give this video a like, give this video a comment, possibly even give me a subscribe if I'm lucky enough. And I will see you, once I can figure out where I am, I will see you wherever we decide to go next. But yes, thank you for coming along with me for the ride. Happy Halloween. Roll that outro.